Hi, and welcome in to mufcMPB YouTube. I'm your host, Ash Meppers, and I'll be bringing you all the latest gossip, talk, opinion, the news today, what's been going on, talk about the transfer with potential McTominay and Sancho looking like they'll be making a move out, but also the big news today, that the takeover talks. So we'll have an injury update, we'll have all that, so get settled in. Make sure you got yourself a nice drink. Make sure you've hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed and get yourself joined into the conversation. Let us know anything that you think needs to be spoken about on Manchester United over the next hour or so during our long conversation here. And let's get to it. But first, let me welcome in a few of the chat. Now, if you're making comments and you're subscribed and you're liking, then you'll get shout-outs on the stream, of course. You've seen with mufcMPB, one of the biggest Twitter sites, the Manchester United news aggregators anywhere. This is the home of Manchester United news. So welcome in. How's it going, Scott Green? Evening, Mr. Meppers and all. Good evening, good evening. Someone needs to lock all 6 Glazer siblings in a room and not let them out until they sell. Indeed. Indeed. Little Bean Vert said the biggest one. The biggest one indeed, Little Bean Vert. Pika Chad says, hello Ash and everyone, welcome in, welcome in. Right, well, we've got the news today of the takeover. Takeover talks. Business journalist Heliard of Bloomberg. Now, if you're not aware what Bloomberg is, it's a business site. It's a media corporation that brings you all the latest stock news, latest business, insider news, all kind of the trading of the FTSE 500, the S&P 500, the FTSE 100, sorry, the S&P 500, all the biggest companies all around the world. So they have the links. They've got a storied history when it comes to getting things right. So Heliard of the business journalist at Bloomberg has said, I was told that not much will happen in the process in August and September in regard to the Glazer takeover, but it's believed that the process will progress within the next few weeks. My feeling is that Sheikh Jassim will succeed in taking over the club in the end. Now, fantastic news. Depends on, although saying fantastic news, it depends where you stand on the ownership. You know, if you want Sir Jim Ratcliffe in, if you want Sheikh Jassim in, I can't imagine there's any fans out there who want the Glazers to stay. I'm sure there's one or two. But looking at the calamity that we've seen over the past, 10 years since Sir Alex Ferguson and David Gill left, and you can go a couple of years even before that when remember that great transfer window of selling Cristiano Ronaldo and bringing in don't get me wrong, Antonio Valencia went on to have a decent career at Manchester United, and was it Antonio Valencia and Michael Owen? What a window. Scott says, nah, call me Scatty. Noah, first time here, Twitter link. Welcome in, Noah. Get your opinion. I'm more than happy to listen to what's going on in the wider scheme of Manchester United fans and the wider world. So, yeah, make yourself known. Valencia, Obertan, Owen was that window. When was that? 2009? 2010? A terrible, terrible window. But in regards to the news that we've been breaking today on the Twitter, things are happening regarding the Manchester United takeover behind the scenes, but the parties prefer to keep it secret. Now, you've seen with a lot of these kind of big deals, I don't know if you remember the Time Warner Disney takeovers. These generally take months. Sometimes they can take years. So it's been about what now? 12 months, maybe 13 months now since the Glazers announced that we're going to sell the club. I mean, a lot of Manchester United fans at that time were ecstatic, hopeful that we'd get it done by the transfer window, by the summer transfer window, and be able to do some business there, with new funds and new owners. Unfortunately, that wasn't to be, and we're still in a situation now where the Glazers were holding out for as much as possible. You see the share price right now. The share price right now is around $19, which puts the value of the club, the market cap, at around $3.1 billion. The Glazers have expected to get at least $6 billion for the club. That's what we've heard from people close to the Rain Group, people close to Sheikh Jazim and Sir Jim Ratcliffe. When it comes to getting that $6 billion, when you consider that the club's only worth $3.1 billion in market value, according to the New York Stock Exchange, that's the value that the share price dictates. That's what shows. It says that's what the value of the club is viewed as by the shareholders. Then you'd expect the Glazers to be snapping off anyone coming with a $4.55 billion bid. But at points we've heard that they've wanted $10 billion for Manchester United. How they can ask that kind of money is ridiculous, especially when we've seen they've put little to no money into the club. You saw the 15 years prior to the Glazer ownership, we saw three new stands get developed. We saw the North Quadrants developed. We saw the new Carrington moving from the Cliff, our old training ground, into Carrington, being state-of-the-art, revolutionary training grounds, having the best stadium and facilities in world football. This was prior to the Glazers' ownership. The Glazers come into the club, spend little to no money on the club at all, no new development in regard to stadium facilities, no new development in regard to Carrington facilities. They spent a little bit, don't get me wrong, but nothing in comparison to the 15 years prior to their ownership. Absolute madness. Bath Time says, I won't believe it till I see the Sheikh holding up the jersey. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to news and reliable news, you don't really want to be listening to football and sports journalists. I mean, here over at mufcMPB, we understand where the news is going to break from. We understand that the breaking news is going to come from business insiders, people close to Wall Street, people close to the Glazers, people close on the business world, close to Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and also close to Sheikh Jazim. That is where you're going to get the news from. You're not going to hear it from the general sports media because they've not got those kind of connections. They might have at a board level, and you might hear it from a board level, but generally the breaking news, you'll hear it from someone like a Bloomberg, like a Helly Herd here, like we're showing you now from mufcMPB Twitter. Pikachu says, I'll take anyone who isn't the Glazers, man. I agree. I'd take anyone. Third lost, and suddenly Takeover news breaks. Bizarre. No. I think when it comes to Takeover news that's been breaking, it's generally not come on the back of losses. It's come on the back of protests. Whenever you've heard the Red Army or the 1958 group come out and say, right, there's going to be a protest this week at Old Trafford, generally that's when the news is broke of a takeover to kind of lull and stop people getting so excited about getting the Glazers out, essentially. So everyone like, share. Don't forget also everyone to like, share and comment. We appreciate your input and get involved around it. We've got big things planned in the foreseeable future. I'm going to Munich tomorrow. I'm going on the bus tomorrow to Munich. We're going to be live streaming. I'm not sure how I'm going to work that out, but we're going to be live streaming from Munich. I don't know if I'm going to be able to live stream from inside the stadium. Maybe we might have to have maybe a half an hour, 45-minute show a little bit earlier on Wednesday. So we'll see about that. But I'll be there on the ground at the Allianz Arena watching Manchester United take on Bayern Munich. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Bandit Bus content, potentially, yeah, Bath Time, potentially. Urgy Saint said, still depressing to see our current squad play like 8th place is the most realistic. I disagree. Don't get me wrong, speaking on the Glazers and speaking on the input that they've had with the club, and you look at the injuries that we've had, and you look at the people still in and around the club, and the physios and the coaches and the nutritionists that Erik ten Hag wanted to bring in to play his kind of high-intensity football, the Glazers haven't supported him in that regard. They've not supported him at all. I'll go into that a little bit later in detail. But essentially, you're seeing now, with the amount of games and the amount of workload that is required to play in a Ten Hag system, that a lot of these players that have been used to the Manchester United fitness regimes, the what's the word I'm looking for? The nutritionist, having the all-round ability to be able to play a full 90 minutes even you saw Brighton, Rashford around 80, 90, 80 odd minutes, hands on his knees, looking tired, looking knackered. And it's this is all down to the Glazer ownership. People will look and people will argue and say, oh, it's down to the coaches, oh, it's down to the players. Yeah, but you've got to look a little bit deeper than that. You've got to look a little bit further than that. It's easy to say, oh, well, the players aren't playing well, the coaches aren't managing the players right. But at the first instance, are these players fit enough to play a full 90 minutes and run in a manner and in a way that Ten Hag dictates and wants from his players? And we've been seeing over this past 6 months that these players, they're dropping like flies. How many injuries do we have now? We almost have a first 11 out. We have players that also have had off-the-field issues that Ten Hag's had to deal with. We've got players that have just had long-term injuries, like players like Amadu who could come into the team, Kobe Maino, these young lads who were looking exciting on the tour and an exciting end to last season for the respective loan clubs or at academy level. And you'd hope that Ten Hag would have the options to have almost all his players available. That's just not been the case for Erik Ten Hag. So when people are laying the blame at Erik Ten Hag and they're saying, oh, he's not good enough, De Zerbi's out coaching him, De Zerbi's got a team that's only worth 16 million and stuff, you've got to look deeper, you've got to look further. Ten Hag is, in no doubts, an exceptional manager. He's an exceptional coach. You've seen with Ajax. With Ajax, Erik Ten Hag got Ajax further in the Champions League than Manchester United have got in the past decade, with managers like David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, and Jose Mourinho, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Ten Hag did that at Ajax. He did that with a couple of years of kind of building the squad fitness with his own head of fitness and conditioning, and with the supporting of his board. You've just not seen that at Manchester United, unfortunately. And you can point as much as you like to the coaches and the players, and we can look to get rid of the coaches and the players, but we go through the same cycle over and over again. It's a rinse and repeat situation, whereas we get rid of Erik Ten Hag, we get a new coach in, everyone gets excited for a year, then the manager's not backed, we get loan signings, we get players that probably weren't chosen by the manager, although you could make some arguments that a lot of the choices from Ten Hag were, a lot of the choices from the transfers were from Ten Hag, although I don't believe all of them to be the case, especially players like Casemiro and Mason Mount. I mean, you've seen that Erik Ten Hag was desperate for Frenkie de Jong. Okay, we couldn't get him. Why couldn't we have got him? He was available for the right price. Barcelona were desperate to be selling Frenkie de Jong. Maybe Frenkie de Jong didn't want to come to Manchester United at that time, but also he was open. We were speaking to Frenkie de Jong. Those were discussions were open and were being had. Eventually, he had to settle for Casemiro, which, don't get me wrong, Casemiro had a great season last season, fantastic player. This season started a little bit rough. Not with what we want to really see from Casemiro, but we'll see. We'll see how that develops over the coming weeks. Now let me see what you boys have got to say. Stream from Munich will be quality. Thank you very much. Why? I'm excited, man. Give Ten Hag some time. Let him build the team from front to back. And when he's backed with his signing, then he fails. Then you sack. I agree, Maximus Ekon. You look at Jurgen Klopp. You look at Arteta. You look at Pep. You look at in the same stages in their career. After 50 games in the league, Ten Hag's only second behind, when it comes to win rate, he's only second behind Pep Guardiola. I can't remember off the top of my head, but Arteta in his first season finished 8th. Second season again, was it 6th? So you look towards some of these finishes, and I'll get you the actual numbers of where these managers finish, because I had it up earlier on looking for it. Oh, maybe not. Arteta seasons, managerial profile. And it's just not been good enough. Good evening, Sheikh Caulfield. How are you doing? Ratcliffe or Sheikh Jazim chat? who would you rather in at the club? Who would be your man to guide and take over the club over the next foreseeable future? I mean, the one thing that does worry about me about Sir Jim Ratcliffe is the fact that when you look to what he's done with Nice, and you look, you know, how many years has he really got left to invest and be fully on the board at Manchester United when he's got all these Ineos to work with, and the Mercedes partnerships, and the sailing company, the chemical company, you know, Nice. So it's a little bit worrying. Qatar, again, from a personal standpoint, we don't know what Sheikh Jassim's going to come into the club and change. Who knows what might happen, you know. Worst case scenario, comes into the club, he renames the stadium, we move the stadium to a different location. I mean, again, worst case scenario. We start wearing the purple and white as an away kit. Makes changes to the badges. You know, doesn't respect the Mancunian culture. Again, you could say the same with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. The way his chemical companies treated British waters and kind of all the issues he's had with the government, that you could see that with Manchester United. Will he make those kind of investments? Now, best case scenario with Sir Jim Ratcliffe isn't the best case scenario for Manchester United, I don't believe, because you look at Sir Jim Ratcliffe, best case scenario, and you think, well, has he got the money? He's going to need to bring in more investors, and potentially that creates a conglomerate situation where you've got multiple investors there, multiple talking heads that can argue and can cause issues, and we can be right in the same situation where we were just before the Glazer buyout at Manchester United, where you've got multiple board members, you know, wanting to sell to essentially a financial leech. The best case scenario with the Qataris, they come in, they embellish and respect the culture, the Mancunian culture. They put funds into the stadium, they put funds into the community, they redevelop the Salford and the Trafford area, you know, with investments when it comes to sporting facilities and stuff like that. You've seen what the Qataris and the Qatari investments have been able to bring toward the world of sport with the World Cup and the infrastructure there. So they could bring all that. They put money back into the community by doing that, by creating jobs, creating construction jobs, creating administrative jobs, creating labour jobs. Just the amount of money that could be put into the south side of Manchester there. South central side of Manchester. It's endless. You know, the possibilities. So, as a Mancunian, in an ideal world, what would I love to see from my club? Growing up, you know, Old Trafford, being basically on my doorstep. What would I like to see? In an ideal world, we'd go back to fan ownership, and a fan ownership that was led by the board. But that doesn't work. That's just not happening anymore. You know, the horse has bolted this. I was going to say stadium then. The horse has bolted. That's not happening anymore. So, in regard to best case scenario, it's looking like Sheikh Jassim could be that man. Now, okay, people pointed out to social injustices in Qatar and in regard to human rights issues and stuff like that. Now, if you look into the record of Sheikh Jassim himself, you've seen that he's been very proactive when it comes to human rights issues and being very progressive in his thinking going forward. So that gives you a little bit of hope. But you won't see Manchester United fans like Manchester City fans, where they were basically allowing the Manchester City owners to get away with everything they're getting away with within their own country and kind of sweeping it under the rug, sweeping it under the carpet. In Manchester and with Manchester United, we would highlight any kind of issues that we see and any kind of social injustices, because that's what Manchester was built off. If you know anything about Manchester, it was the home of almost the world's civil liberties. There's an Abraham Lincoln statue in the centre of Manchester. The reason why that Abraham Lincoln statue is in the centre of Manchester, because he came to learn about the abolition of slavery which was started in this country. You look at the suffragette movement with Emily Pankhurst and women's rights, and you look into the Waterloo, the Peterloo massacre in Manchester, again for workers' rights. We are a city when it comes to civil rights, civil liberties, and being at the forefront of taking care of your community. We are that as Mancunians. Now, okay, we've not seen that with the Manchester City fans, unfortunately, but I have no doubt we will see that with Manchester United fans. I have 100% no doubt we'll be allowed. But again, I don't have much of a worry in that regard, because I believe Sheikh Jassim is a man who appreciates kind of progressing society. When you look into his history and you look into his background and the foundations he's in, and the kind of the social and economic justices and the causes that he's pushed within his own country. So again, that's not an issue that I personally have at this moment. Again, this is something that we'll explore as the ownership comes to fruition. If it comes to fruition at any point, indeed, we'll see about that. Let's see what you boys are saying in the chat. Speaking of Mercedes, I thought it was funny how Ineos, TeamViewer and Snapdragon are all partnered with them. It feels like almost the Glazers are going, look, Mr. Jassim, we're close to Ineos. We're taking all these sponsorships from Ineos and linked with Ineos. Make a bigger bid. It's daft. The Glazers are obvious in their intentions. They're holding out for the big money, and Sheikh Jassim's not going to be taking a fool and going to overspend. Right now, the club's valued at around 3.8 billion on the stock exchange. Now, something that it's not been anywhere close to the valuation that the Glazers put the club at is essentially, and I've said this before, it's like Rightmove putting in your details, or Auto Trader putting in your details of your car and going, well, your car's worth around £14,000. No, I want 25,000 for it. It's ridiculous. It's madness. And what they're expecting, I have no idea. MH said Ratcliffe with the Glazers involved. There's been talk of Ratcliffe with the Glazers involved. Ratcliffe apparently, word around Ratcliffe is he doesn't want that. He understands that would create a difficult relationship with the Manchester United fans, and it'd start his ownership off on the wrong foot instantly. You'd see no change in regards to the protests. That would be continued, and yeah, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he's not looking at doing that. I don't believe that's going to be the case. Now that share price is going up, the Glazers know what they are doing. Maybe they want the share price to go up just so they can borrow some more money on the properties in the United States. We've seen they've done that before. The New York Stock Exchange and Wall Street should be looking into this, because it's stock manipulation, really. Jassim has so much money. Why can't he just up and buy it by $1 billion and free us? Because he doesn't want to look like a fool. I mean, he could easily go and add an extra $1 billion to it. Yeah, of course. Maybe he's already done something like that. I mean, we don't actually, I say we don't know. This talk that he's been very conservative with his bid, because he wants to make sure the Glazers are going to sell. He doesn't want to get into a situation where he makes a big bid, a big 6.5 billion bid, and then all of a sudden the Glazers go, actually, we've had a rethink. We've spoken with all the siblings, and we don't think it's enough. He wants to pretty much have the Glazers extending their hand going, are you ready for a deal? Are you ready for a deal? That moment where that extension comes from the Glazers, then he's going to do the deal. But again, up until then, he's going to be conservative. He's going to play it cool. He's a smart man. These are businessmen that they're in no rush to buy the club. They've got a big long-term vision. Okay, us United fans, we might be a little bit frustrated, a little bit annoyed. We're seeing with everything that's going on around the club, with the transfers, with the backroom staff, with the players, the injuries, everything going on with the club. Yeah, we're frustrated and we want to get things moving. We want the club to kind of push on and be as successful as we deserve to be, as the fans rightfully deserve. And okay, nobody deserves to win in sport, but when you look at the support of Manchester United, you look at us, that we're there every single game. League Cup, Champions League, Europa League. friendlies, we sell out more than anyone else. We sell the most shirts. We watch the most. We're the most viewed team in the world. We're the best traveling team in regard to international friendlies. Going to China, going to the United States, going to Australia, wherever it be. I'd like to see. By the way, I would like to see us go to South America at some point. Love to see us in the Maracanã or La Bombonera, Boca Juniors Stadium. I would love that. Maybe one day. David Bill says, long time follower on Twitter, first time seeing you live, love it bro, excited to subscribe, and for the takeover, wake me up when something actually happens, tired of news that isn't news. The only news that will really cement this is seeing it listed on the Manchester United website. That's the only thing that's going to lift it and get people excited. But until then, we're in that kind of pre-news stage where we're just hearing little bits come out and be leaked from all the different camps involved in the bidding that it could be close, we're nearly there. And this happens, I mean, anyone who's dealt with a mortgage or, anyone who's dealt in kind of, big finance deals, this isn't a situation where it all gets done within 6 months, within 12 months. This is a situation where Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Sheikh Jazim, they want to know all the financials. They've got all their auditors involved in and around the club, understanding all the financial figures of what's going on, understanding and reading through all the contracts. Things just take time. And as Helly Hurd has said, he was told that not much is going to happen in the process in August, September, but he believed that the process will progress within the next couple of weeks. The buyers and the owners have to do the potential due diligence. That's just a part of these big financial deals. You've seen with massive takeovers with Twitter. You've seen with Time Warner, Disney, Marvel. Big massive corporations, and it takes months and months and months. Most recently, the biggest one I could think of is Elon Musk and Tesla with Twitter turning it into X.com, and that took at least 6 months, and he wanted it. He was willing to pay the price. He had no issues, and it still took 6 months. So you've just got to be patient, boys. But news is coming. News is coming, and we'll be here to break it to you first. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Make sure you're following the YouTube, and we'll be here for all the latest breaking news at mufcMPB. You can also follow me at Ash Meppers. I'll be bringing you all the broadcasts and some match vlogs. I've got a Brighton match vlog going up either tonight or tomorrow. I'm looking to be going to the Munich game on Wednesday. Well, I'm going to the Munich game on Wednesday. I'll be going on the Banter Bus. You'll see some footage from that. I'll be live streaming from here at mufcMPB. We're going to be bringing you a live stream from Munich, from the ground. Things we're in our first. We're not even got through our first month yet on the YouTube channel. We've not even got through our first month. Plenty to be developing. Plenty to be growing, plenty to be improving. So stick around, make sure you're following, make sure you like, make sure you're subscribed, and keep an eye on all our latest news that we're bringing you. Mash says, I can see him buying a London club, Brighton, if Glazer continues. The Brighton owner wouldn't sell. He's a big fan. Lee, was it his name? Urgy Saint says, if it's over, the sale still hasn't completed, then yeah, the Glazers stay. I feel like this could go on for another. This could go on, boys. Settle in, strap yourselves in. This could go on for another 12 months. The Glazers are in no position to sell, and what's made things worse is the fact that now the top 5 Premier League teams go into the Champions League next year. So when you look to the top 5, I mean, I think it'd take a massive collapse for United not to get into the top 5 this year. When you look to all the players that we've yet to come back from injury and potential issues, off-field issues, I feel like we've still got a chance to be pushing up that table and easily getting into the top 4. Okay, we're 9 points away at the moment from... are we 9 points away from Manchester City or 12 points away? Poor. I was looking. I've stopped looking. I don't want to get depressed. I stopped looking after the Brighton game. I thought I'm ignoring the Premier League table until at least we get 3 wins. We get 3 wins again, I'll look at the Premier League table. Until that, you boys can have a look. Me, I'm ignoring the Premier League table for now. Nobody cares about the Premier League table in September, October, November, December. No one cares. We get to January, then we can start talking. Then we can start worrying. Up until then, right now, we're just in a bit of a bad spell. We're we're not doing as well as we should be doing and we could be doing, but there's better signs ahead. It's KPC says United. Ash, did you know that Sir Jim has fracking rights to Greater Manchester and land around Old Trafford? Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Getting the ability to do that though, that's another thing. Mr. Connor says, yeah, I don't see how we get top 4. Yeah, I think it'd be a massive collapse for us not to get top 4. You look at the teams that we've played so far. We played Spurs, Arsenal, Brighton, Wolves, and you saw Wolves cause Liverpool problems at the weekend, although didn't go on to win that game. You look at that and you think, okay, yeah, we should be doing better. We should be doing much better with those teams. Probably should have got a win against Spurs. Definitely should have got something out of the Arsenal game. And I say that with a Garnacho chance. I say that because it was last minute that Declan Rice got that winning goal. So I feel like potentially we get something out of the game, then it pushes into the international breaks with a lot more excitement, and then coming into the Brighton game with a little bit more hope. And you look at the Brighton game, the first 20 minutes of the Brighton game, we were dominant in that game. It's just that we've struggled like we've seen last season, just struggled to finish. We're struggling to score goals. And until we rectify that, until we get a little bit of chemistry up in the field, up in the top half, in the final third, then we're going to continue to see these issues. We need goals from midfield. We need Bruno to start, banging in a few goals, really, like he has been doing over the past few seasons. And Rasmus Højlund almost got his debut goal at the weekend, and you can see signs there that there is going to be goals coming from Rasmus Højlund. So there's a lot of positives to come, and we'll be bringing you all the news and all the latest goings on with Manchester United. So stay tuned. Frederick Tony says, please, can the takeover just happen so our mental health can be restored to normal? Ever since the Glazers took over, we've been in a sort of malaise. I mean, Sir Alex and David Gill have propped us up, but after that, you've seen with David Moyes, you've seen with Louis van Gaal, you've seen with Mourinho. Mourinho had a good 12 months, you'd say, and then wasn't backed. And you listen to all the former managers and the former big players. You listen to Louis van Gaal, you listen to Jose Mourinho, you listen to Ibra, you listen to Ronaldo, and they never complain about the squad. Or at least Mourinho did a bit of complaining about the squad. The rest of them, they say about the off-field issues. Louis van Gaal warned Erik ten Hag. He said before Erik ten Hag took the job, he says, don't take that job. They are not a serious club. Now, as United fans, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that, especially from a former manager. But it points to the issues that we've got at this club. You look at John Murtough, and I posted a tweet earlier today, and I deleted it because I didn't want to call for someone's job. But you look at his experience, and he's the director of football, John Murtough. He was employed by the Glazers in 2021. And before he became the director of football at the biggest club, or one of the biggest sporting institutions in world sports, his experience was as a sports scientist at Fulham, the director of the women's football team at Manchester United, Everton. Let me get up. He was the women's football strategic advisor before he took on the role of director of football at Manchester United. Before he was the strategic advisor for women's football, he was director of development at Manchester United, and then he was prior to that he was the academy manager. Prior to that he was at Everton as the director of development. Prior to that he was at Coventry. Prior to that he was at Fulham, and prior to that he was in the academy staff at Everton again. That doesn't scream to me like a man who should be, at the helm of running things when it comes to the football side of things at Manchester United, being the director of football. I'll say it once again. I'll run through his CV. John Murtough started his career at Everton in the academy staff. He then moved on to Fulham as the head of academy coaching. He then moved on to Coventry as performance manager, then moved on to Everton as a sports scientist, and moved within roles at Everton to the director of development. Then got a move from Everton in June 2012, came over with David Moyes, well, just before David Moyes, came over to Manchester United as the academy manager at Manchester United, then moved up to the director of development at Manchester United. This is during our worst periods, by the way. He's been getting promotion after promotion within Manchester United during our worst periods. And then he gets the job at women's football as a strategic advisor. And then from 2021, he comes into Manchester United as the director of football. Can someone please explain this to me? How a man of such a low-standing calibre CV get one of the top jobs in world football? The very top jobs in world football. You look at Man City, the way they run. You look at Trixie Biggerstein, formerly at Barcelona, having won trebles and, run an incredible successful organisation there. It's absolute madness how Manchester United have promoted from within. Now, okay, you can say, well, that's not John Murtaugh's fault. He's going to take those promotions. No, it's not his fault. It's the Glazers' issue, and it's the Glazers' fault. Now, that's what we've been saying, and that's what we'll continue to say over here at mufcMPB until the Glazers are out. And I hope you boys are joining in, as much as you can when it comes to protest, when it comes to, just putting your voice out there on the internet saying Glazers out. This is something that we want to continue to be pushing. It can never abate. It can never stop. MGD Gaming said we need new ownership and new management. Players brought by Ole, etc. are not good enough to play. How have we still got Anthony Martial? And okay, you might think I'm out of line here for saying it, but the same with Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw, in the 7-8 seasons we've had Luke Shaw at Manchester United, how many of those have been great seasons? 2. The rest littered with injuries and poor performances. I mean, he's not someone. He's failed under David Moyes. He's failed under Louis van Gaal. He's failed under Mourinho. He's failed under Ole. And Luke Shaw now injured and out of the team again. Issues that keep cropping up over Anthony Martial, McTominay, from Mourinho to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and now to Erik ten Hag. These players wouldn't last at Manchester City. They wouldn't last at Real Madrid. They wouldn't last at Bayern Munich. They wouldn't last at Juventus. Why are they lasting at Manchester United? What are the issues? We know those issues. Like, you won't see the mainstream media talk about it. You won't see Sky Sports and TalkSport and some of the big boys kind of point to it and push it. But what needs to be said is, this is the ownership. This is down to the ownership that's not getting these players out, or at least not getting the very best out of these players. Shaw is quality. You say Shaw is quality. Now, I've looked at Shaw over the last 7-8 years, and in regards to assists and goals, now, okay, what Shaw? You tell me what Shaw's good at. This is where I have arguments consistently with Manchester United fans. What is Luke Shaw great at? What's he great at? He doesn't get many assists in the final third. He can play left centre back. Everyone is blinded by Shaw's performance at centre back last season. He's bang average, if not below, at left back. He's got a good cross on him and he's a good defender. You look at defensively. I mean, I feel like a lot of people forget defensively. You look at a lot of our goals in a lot of the big games. They were caught with Luke Shaw out of position. You look at the game against Spurs, wildly out of position for that cross across into Sarr for the second goal. Or maybe it might have been the first goal, in fact. You look at the back post Champions Leagues, many times, I think it was Leipzig, not marking his man, completely just not there. For me personally, I don't think he's good. I don't think he would go into a Manchester City team. He would go into Real Madrid team. He would go into a team that would be looking to be pushed for Premier League and Champions Leagues. And I think that's an issue. You see with his work rate, you see the numbers he puts in when it comes to running and sprints. And for me, these players that are semi-good enough, they're okay. It's Luke Shaw, let's be honest, he's a squad player. Let me ask you this question right now. Who would you rather have in your team, Luke Shaw or Ben Chilwell? You look at the numbers that Ben Chilwell produces. I'd say defensively, not too dissimilar. But then you look at the final third and what he brings going forward into the attack, what modern football's needed today. And he looks an exceptional footballer. Neither I'll take Dalot at left back. I'd take Dalot at left back as well. Need to see that pass from Shaw. Looks like he can't be out a lot of the time. I agree, Scott. I agree completely. So yeah, now in regard to what's going to be going on with players coming in and out of the club, that moves us nicely onto the news of Scott McTominay, who looks to be making a move away from Manchester United in the January transfer window. Again, a player that stayed too long, should have gone to West Ham in the summer, maybe even potentially Fulham. But news is that Scott McTominay is a target for Bayern Munich in January. He features prominently on Thomas Tuchel's wanted list. Thomas Tuchel apparently went in for him in the summer. That was not back, and this is according to Tom Hopkinson. You saw him against Brighton. I mean, he was ran ragged by Mitoma and Lamptey. Played out of position, really. You see him at Scotland, looks fantastic. I think, really, he should be playing in Bruno's role. He needs to be playing more as an attacking midfielder. When you think, right, where would he play for Bayern? Well, he takes Thomas Muller's position there as that attacking midfielder. So he goes in there, and I think he'd slot in there perfectly. I mean, Musiala this season, you've seen him play 2 games this season, I believe. Start one and come off the bench on another. And Thomas Tuchel has looked at McTominay and thought, yeah, he's the man for me. Can any of you boys in the chat really believe and really see a future for McTominay at Manchester United? Maybe potentially as a squad player, okay, keep him in and around the squad, but should he be starting for Manchester United? I don't believe so. Why is McTominay so good for Scotland? It's the level of quality, it's the calibre of football. You look at the World Cup, you look at the Euros, the calibre of football is completely different. You know, it's not to the standard of the Premier League. The players that play in those teams and against, who was Scott McTominay playing against? Slovakia, Slovenia, Cyprus. I mean, what we're talking about. Okay, you could argue in the Spain game, he had a great performance, scored 2 goals against Spain. But generally, for Scotland, when you're playing against a much lesser calibre of quality of opponent, then yeah, you will see these stars rise up and shine. McTominay to Bayern will not happen. Potentially, we'll see. There's a lot of talk behind the scenes, and Tuchel's there is looking to strengthen his midfield. He's looking to strengthen his attack, and McTominay with the loss of Gravenberch, with potential, with Sabitzer. They need numbers. They need bodies in the midfield. So that's definitely a possibility, I believe, in the January transfer window. McTominay to Bayern and Paulinho to United. Yes, please. That'd be nice. But how much would he cost for Manchester United? 60, 70 million, Paulinho. He's 28 now. That would be interesting. He's Scotland's best player. Team's built for him. I'd personally, Scott, I'd go John McGinn as Scotland's best player. Bayern will pay big money and get Paulinho because he's twice the player McTominay is. Indeed, well, different positions, aren't they? Spencer Parcast, welcome in. He says, nice to see more people watching tonight. Welcome, everyone. Welcome in to the stream, boys. If you're watching wherever you are around the world, welcome in. Make sure you're liking, you're subscribing, you're getting involved in the chat, in the comment. Make sure you're making those comments after, if I've missed them in the chat here today with you live. Make sure you're posting them under the on-demand video. There you go. There's the mufcMPB subscription notification. Make sure you're hitting the bell on that as well. Mr. Connor says, didn't he also just sign a new contract with Fulham? Oh, I don't believe so. I can't tell you. When it comes to contract information of other clubs, I'm not too clued up. So yeah, we'll have to swerve that one. McTominay is just another player who will have a spell outside of Manchester. You look at players that have left Manchester United. Now let's go through a few of the players that have left Manchester United. Darmian won a Serie A. Lukaku won a Serie A. Ashley Young won a Serie A. all for Inter, okay. Smalling won the Conference League, the Europa Conference League. Who else went on to succeed outside of Manchester United? There's a few more. Andreas Pereira had a fantastic... Andreas Pereira, we could do with him in the squad right now. Andreas Pereira is a stalwart in that Fulham team, and he performed admirably for Fulham last season, pushing him to a top half of the table finish. A mid-table... You look at players that had left. Di Maria, okay, he was never going to stay here. That was always going to be a situation where he was pushing for a move, issues off the field and issues with the manager. But there's a lot of players that have left Manchester United recently, at least that have come from the first team and have gone on to do fairly well. Sanchez also at Inter. Sosa World Peace. I mean, to be honest, mate, we don't need that in the chat. Come on, let's all love and harmony and everything. Also, news coming up for this January. Barcelona are keeping an eye on Jadon Sancho's situation ahead of January, according to Semra Hunter. She's the presenter for La Liga TV and is very close to a lot of the Barcelona board and members of let me try that again. They are members of the La Liga. That's just saying the Liga. Members of La Liga delegation that provide all the broadcasting for the television across the world and in England. So Semra is someone that you could look to there and go, okay, we trust that source there. If those rumours are coming out from Semra, then that's looking legit. Now, in regards to Jadon Sancho at Barcelona, would you want to see that be a loan move? Would you want to see that be a full-time move where we're looking at a buyback clause? Also mentioning the players that gone on to succeed outside of Manchester United. Memphis Depay. Just one that I remembered there. Boys, I'm off it today. If you're listening to me and I'm stuttering and I'm mumbling all over the place, I was up last night at 4:30. 4:30 last night and awake at 9 a.m. I am working on about 3 hours sleep, so I apologise for all the stuttering, all the kind of the blockages of thought. I'm not at full energy here today. I'm struggling. I've had a few cups of tea. I've had a bit of caffeine, and I'm trying to plod along. But listen, we do what needs to be done here at mufcMPB, and we'll continue to do what needs to be done going forward in the future. Chelsea definitely tapped him up. I reckon he goes back to London. Well, you've seen that they've got Cole Palmer now over there at London. Yeah, Darmian just played in the Champions League final. There's another one. Yeah, you've seen Cole Palmer there at Chelsea, so I can't imagine, although having said that, I can't imagine Chelsea buying more players. I would never have thought they would have bought Cole Palmer after buying Noni Madueke and after Sterling and after just the Mudryk and all the many players they've been buying over the years. Honestly, I rate Ferran Torres over Rafinha. Well, Jadon Sancho I rate over all of them. Jadon Sancho's had the best season out of all of them, in my opinion. Okay, you could argue that Rafinha in the Premier League has proved himself at a top level, at a high level. But you look at what Jadon Sancho did for Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, and none of them have come close to what Jadon Sancho's done in a single season. Incredible performer there. Jadon Sancho is available for transfer as it stands. He is likely to leave in January on loan to buy deal. Tottenham, Newcastle, Borussia Dortmund are interested in him. That's according to the Muppeteers on X.com. I don't want to see him to go to another Premier League club. I'd like to see him go abroad. It'd be interesting to see him go abroad. I don't want to see him perform for someone else, because essentially all that does is say that it kind of highlights the issues that we have at Manchester United, where we run poorly if he goes on to perform elsewhere. So I do want to see him perform well, but perform for an opponent that is trying to fight for positions, fight for the top five, strengthening our opponents, Tottenham and Newcastle. I'm not too sure that'd be a good idea, but I wouldn't put it past the Glazers. That sounds like a Glazer move to me, to be honest. Tottenham, I can see happening. Under the Glazers, I wouldn't rule out anything, but I think from a sporting standpoint, you can't be selling direct opponents, and you can't be loaning direct opponents in the same competition players, strengthening your rivals. You just can't happen. Get Jadon at Brighton. Jadon at Brighton would be exceptional. That would be something I'd like to see. You saw Dingra there on the right hand side playing for Brighton and putting a decent performance. Would De Zerbi take the work rate? Would a different situation and a scenario work for Jadon Sancho? Who knows? It's been breaking that Erik ten Hag has confirmed Raphael Varane and Mason Mount will return to the team shortly. Whew. Relief. Finally, some good news. I think this is the only good news we've had for the past 14 days as a Manchester United fan. Varane back, we've missed him. When you look at the team and you look at the squad and the performances with and without Varane in the team, it is a massive miss. But that goes to point and illustrate that we should have bought Kim Min-jae in the summer. We should have bought Todibo. We should have bought maybe Tapsoba. These are players that we need strengthening in the squad. You've seen at the weekend, Ten Hag just doesn't trust Maguire. He doesn't want Maguire anywhere near the team, really. You saw against Arsenal. You saw Johnny Evans and Maguire, come on and kind of wilt and end up conceding very late on there, the late winner from Declan Rice. We desperately need Varane back in the team. And you know what? 30 years old now. He's got no international football. So you'd hope that his injuries are starting to get a little bit less, and his fitness is picking up a little bit more. But as I'll show you in a moment, you might maybe understand why we've still got issues at this club in regards to fitness. Mason Mount being back as well offers a little bit of options on the right hand side. Mason Mount just being an option with the press. You saw against Brighton on Saturday, our inability to press Brighton's back 4-5, the box 4, the goalkeeper, the way they were able to spread the centre-backs, the way Pascal Gross and Dahoud were creating the options in the middle and out wide, and Matoma over the top. We had nobody there going in and pressing other than Rashford, Højlund and Bruno. After that, McTominay was vacant, kind of wandering in between, trying to pick up Tariq Lamptey and Matoma, not really knowing what to do. Mason Mount comes in as a pressing machine. He's got energy in abundance, so I'll be excited to see what he brings to the team in regards to that press off the right-hand side, and we definitely do need him in the squad and in the team. Erik ten Hag says he expects some of the injured players to return against Burnley on Saturday. Kobe Mino coming back into the team, and Amrabat also coming into the team. You've seen with Casemiro, absolute collapse this season in performance. Now you look at Casemiro and these eerily familiar sights to what Fabinho had last season with Liverpool in that regression and that absolute tank and collapsing in performance there. I pray, and I'm not a praying man, but I hope and I pray that Casemiro, this isn't Fabinho Mark II, and this isn't what's happening to Casemiro, is his legs have gone, and we're going to start to see just a complete collapse in performances from Casemiro. We desperately need Amrabat in there, and Kobe Mino as well. You saw in the pre-season against Arsenal, play that number 6 role, picking up the ball from the defence, progressing the ball, being an all-action midfielder, going in for the presses. He was outstanding, and he's someone who we can look to rely upon over the coming months and throughout the season once he gets back from fitness, these injury issues that he's had this season. We'll see. But in more terrible news, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is out for up to 2 months after sustaining a hamstring injury, which now that I think that's the third player with a hamstring injury. That just to me just shows that Ten Hag is running. He's getting them running. He's trying to get the conditioning up to a standard where these boys are able to play a full 90 minutes, full press, running up and down the field. What's required of players at Manchester United, what you see from teams like Bayern Munich, like Manchester City, and I hate saying that, like Liverpool, like these modern teams that are monsters physically. Players shouldn't be having all these hamstring injuries. What this shows is that the training regime's too out of the norm from what they used to. So they're pulling up because the body's not able to take the workload. Why is the body not able to take the workload? Because they've not been conditioned over the 12, 24 months to be able to take the workload. We're in a situation now, and we're in a period now where we are going to get a lot of injuries, and it is going to be a difficult situation for us in the league. But if we hold on and we kind of we're a little bit patient with the players, we're a little bit patient with the performances, we'll see after these injuries, after these repairs, after this workload's been put on these players, that they'll start to improve and they'll start to be able to perform better. They'll start to be able to put in the workload that's required from a Ten Hag operation. So this isn't something that's going to be long term where players are consistently and constantly getting injuries, unless, as I tweeted out 2 days ago after the Brighton loss, an issue that I've been looking at for the past couple of days is that why so many injuries at Manchester United? Ten Hag wanted to bring in his head of performance and physical conditioning coach, Alessandro Schoenmaker, to Manchester United. The Glazers stopped that from happening. They said no, they didn't want to pay him. They didn't want to change the team. The current fitness staff, Paolo Gaudini, has been at United since 2012. He's been at United in different roles, and he's been head of our fitness staff now for a couple of years. And also Charlie Owen has been at the club since 2018. We're staying with these same members of staff that we've seen for the past 4-5 years. What's 2018? That's 5 years under Mourinho, Ole, and Ten Hag. And Ten Hag, he came in wanting his own man, his own conditioning coach. You look at Lisandro Martinez there. He looks so much slighter and so much fitter than he does at the moment. Lisandro Martinez, I'm not sure if you've noticed, I'm not sure if you looked and you paid attention to his physical physique lately. Lisandro Martinez looks chunky. He looks like he's been putting on a little bit of the muscle. It's not good enough, boys. I apologise. I've been neglecting the chat. Let me see what you boys have got to say. We says, will Varane be back against Bayern? I don't believe so, no. Mr. Connor says, we'll never understand that Mount signing. I like it. I like the Mount signing, Mr. Connor. I think that's something that you're going to have to wait with, and you'll see. You know, he's got incredible potential. He's got incredible talent as a midfielder. What Ten Hag's going to look to do with him is turn him into essentially a Modric. You look at the same age, the same kind of period of the careers of Modric at the same age, 23, 24. Modric, you know, he wasn't anywhere near the caliber and the quality of that you see from Mason Mount. He was playing a similar role as an attacking, pressing forward, as more of an attacking midfielder and playing wide a little bit. But you see with the caliber of Mason Mount's ability on the ball, his finishing, his tactical understanding, he's got everything, Mason Mount. He just needs time to develop. He's what, 23, 24? Give him a couple of years. I'm telling you, Mason Mount's going to prove to be an exceptional signing for Manchester United. I've got all hope and faith in that kid. I really believe. I saw him at youth level. I saw him at Derby. I saw him coming through Chelsea. You know, through all the turmoil, winning 2 back-to-back Chelsea Player of the Season in the season when they won the Champions League too. You know, with constantly changing managers, constantly having to change fitness regimes, constantly having to change tactical regimes. He's still been one of those one of the flag bearers for Chelsea over the last couple of years. So he's a player that I don't understand, and I'm not hearing fans saying he's a wasted signing, he's a poor player, he's not Manchester United. You've got to look deeper than that, boys. You really have. Mason Mount's one for the future. He's one for now that's going to progress and develop into being a top caliber footballer for Manchester United. These players that you see in these attacking positions from the midfield, they aren't instantly world-class players from the age of 22, 23. You look at Bruno Fernandes. How long did it take for Bruno Fernandes to get his career move? 25. You know, you look prior to that. He's at Sampdoria. He's at Sporting. Similar things, you know, same again with Modric. Who else could we point to? But David Silva at Valencia until 23, 24. Liverpool, who can we say? Liverpool going forward. Look at Gini Wijnaldum. He was at Newcastle and Ajax. Newcastle until he was like 25. Ødegaard, okay, Ødegaard, you do get your exceptions, but Ødegaard really, in footballing terms, Ødegaard's a 27-year-old player, a 26-year-old player, 26, 27-year-old player, because you forget he started out at what? At professional football, 15, 16. He was in the squad, he was in Real Madrid squads, and he was in European squads, playing European football at the ages of 18, 19, 20, 21. So you add that onto a player like a Mason Mount, or onto players who start the careers at 18, 19, 20, then yeah, you know, Ødegaard's way ahead of his talent, but also what you'll see from Ødegaard, you'll see him most likely drop off once he hits his late 20s, his mid to late 20s. You'll see him fall off a cliff because at the end of the day, players have only so much mileage in the tank. You know, unless they look after themselves in an exceptional way, like you've seen in the past from players like Ryan Giggs and Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Roy Keane struggle with injuries, and hopefully for Arsenal fans, and not for us, but hopefully, you know, for himself on a personal level, he doesn't get too many injuries. That Ødegaard continues to stay fit. You'll see that the mileage is being added to the clock. You know, yeah, he was playing at 14, 15 to be fair. Yeah, that's why we bring you the hottest takes here, Jack. It's not just nonsense we're talking here. Do you know what I mean? We bring you sensible takes that maybe you might not have heard or might not have seen before. So make sure, if you're new to the channel, you're hitting that like button. if you like the place, we'd appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you've got notifications turned on. I'm here every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. On Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, yeah, I'm going to be live from Munich on Wednesday. That's going to be exciting from the Allianz Arena. It might be a little bit earlier than usual scheduled there, but you keep an eye on the Twitter and we'll let you know what's going on. Also, follow me at Meppers. You can follow the mufcMPB account on Twitter and X. Yeah, we're good. Enjoy Munich. Thanks very much, Matt K. Let's see what else you boys have got to say. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a stud. I'm a big fan of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I believe in him. I back him. I think he's a top player. I really do. I think he's, one of the best defenders one-on-one in world football. And I'm not just talking about fullbacks. I'm talking about actual centre-backs as well. It's just going forward. Okay. I'll be bringing. Thanks very much. Enjoy Munich. Says why. Thank you very much. I'll be bringing you a match day vlog from Munich as well on my YouTube channel, Ash Meppers. I've also yet to get my Brighton vlog up. That'll go up tonight or early tomorrow morning on my channel. Make sure you subscribe there as well, please, boys. Enjoy your time in Germany, man. Great stream again. Thank you very much, Spencer Parkhouse. We've still got more to bring you here. We've got, before we get going, Takeover Talk, Sanjo updates. That's it. That's all I've got to bring you. I thought I had more. It feels like we're ending earlier, boys. But I hope you enjoyed the stream today. Thank you very much for dropping in. I hope you enjoyed the place. Make sure to share with your friends, any Manchester United fans. Send them our way. This is a community we're looking to build and develop over the next couple of years, and you expect big things from us. Tommy and Sancho out. Yeah, I thought I had more. I didn't. Well, there we go. That's wrapped up for today, boys. I'll be back on Wednesday. Arman from TalkSport and Nil Candola will be in here with you tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Have a good evening, whatever you've got planned. And I will see you boys on Wednesday, live from Munich, while we smash them Munchen boys. Going to watch the big game, Nottingham and Burnley. We get it. Go on, Mr. Connor. There's more news. I had more news, but I'll be bringing it to you on Wednesday. Thank you very much. Again, make sure to drop us a follow, and I will see you boys on Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye.